Hey guys, Levi here with Realty. So I wanted to show you guys how you can use InstaSign. So it's kind of like DocuSign or Dotloop, whatever you use currently. It's integrated into the SmartMLS, which makes it very easy for you to integrate it with your form. So let's take a look here. So you log into the MLS just like usual. Okay, this is obviously the Connecticut MLS that we use. You put your username in and password. Okay. And then you'll see there's two ways to do it. So if you want, I'm going to take you to one of my listings right now and show you with one of my listings how I do it. Or you could, if you're doing a new listing, then you would have to start a new one. So I could show you both ways. But let's start on putting on an offer that's currently online. Let's do that first. So I'm going to take an example. We'll do a cash offer. So one of the listings I have here, read later, let's skip that. All right, so we take that to 62 Southview. So that's it right here. So this is my listing. So I wanted to show you, okay, this is the typical listing. So you come up here to this bar right here. There's a bunch of little icons. You choose this one. This one's for Instanet right here, okay? So you click on that. And I was going to give you an option to start a new transaction. So I'll show you in 1 second how that goes. So here's the transaction, name 62 Southview, and now what kind, it asks you for the type. So this is a residential sale, or it's a actually it's a multifamily sale. So we'll call it a multifamily sale, we'll save it, and you can make yourself as the listing agent, the selling agent, neither or both. So let's just do, for argument's sake, we'll do both, okay? So you do both. You could use the wizard or you can uncheck the wizard. It's not a big deal either way, but let's just use the wizard and I'll show you how to go through that. So you hit create, and it's gonna take you to the wizard right now. So over here you can write in all the address, the street number, street name. You fill in everything one at a time. So in this case it should pre-populate everything for us, which it did because we took it off the MLS. So you see everything's in there. Multifamily, it tells you the MLS number, tells you the year built was 1900, the parcel number, because it took all that information, and you see the listing price of $150. Let's go next. Over here you see the transaction dates. This is the list date was 7/31. And we can put in the other dates, but again, not really so necessary. These are the contacts. So you could add anybody here. So I could really add myself, or you can add a buyer. So let's add a buyer for argument's sake. So what you could do is you could create a new transaction contact, or you can add an existing contact. So if you're using this a lot, you're going to have a lot of contacts. So for example, if you have an investor that keeps buying properties with you, you can add him. But let's create a new transaction contact. And what happens is with the new transaction contact, we can add him as the buyer. And if we add him as the buyer, let's call him John Doe at gmail.com. Okay. And now what you do is you add his address, 123 Main Street. Okay, we'll call him Middlebury, Connecticut, 06710. And then you just save it. Now once you have this saved, it'll forever be to this transaction. So the MLS will know that whenever you open up this file, it's going to take him on. Let's go next. Okay, so we can have the listing agent, we can have the seller. I could also have, so that was the buyer. I could also add the seller to this. I'll show you that in a second. Here are the forms. So you could choose a lot of different forms. So in this case, we're obviously drafting up a contract. It's really going to be an offer. So let's just do your standard contract. Okay, so you type in standard, and that's what's going to come up. You'll see standard contract. It was revised on April 4 of 2019. You hit the check mark right there and just hit add. Then you hit the next button. You can add other documents as well, but we're just going to use this one for simplicity's sake. Here are the documents. So typically, if I uploaded other documents to this listing, for example, the listing disclosures, it would come up here as well. So it would make it very easy for you to add these documents as well. Let's keep going. So now here's the form. So we're going to click on this form right here, and this is going to take us to the contract. Now what's going to happen is it's going to pre-populate the form for us, okay? So take a look here. It pre-populated the form for us, and typically it would put in the seller. I'm not sure why I didn't put in the seller, but we'll put one in for it for argument's sake. John Dane. That sounds good. 123 Banana. This is Tom Ferry's name, Banana Street. Let's call it Middlebury as well. You put that in there. Now, typically I like to put in 1,000, 2,000, however much you want. Let's put down $1,000 for the deposit. What I like about this, it adds it all for you. So if you're doing a cash offer, which I'm gonna, for argument's sake, we'll call this a cash offer. So the listing price was $150. We're gonna put in an offer for $140. So we're gonna put in $139,000 over here. So initial deposit of $1,000, and at closing, right, balance to be delivered at closing in cash is $139K. Adds it up for you, $140K. All right. So over here, what I like to do is I like to write not applicable, because people get all excited when it's not filled in. So just write not applicable because we're doing all cash, and you can write in here cash as well. Oh, sorry, you can write cash here, I guess. Some listing agents get very upset if it's not filled in, so just write cash. All right, not applicable, and then you write the closing date. So on a cash sale, it's typically about 30 days. So August 21st. So I typically go to September 21st. September 21st is on a Saturday, so we can do it on September 23rd, which is the next Monday. So you scroll further down. So here's going to ask you for the contract date. So the contract date is going to be, let's say today, because hopefully the buyer will sign today. And then inspection dates. So a lot of my cash buyers don't do inspections, but typically I like to do a minimum of 2 weeks for inspection, because by the time you get back the contract, it's going to be a few days. It might be 2-3 days, and then by the time you schedule an inspector, it could be another few days. So you're talking about a few days till it gets back signed. That's usually my experience. After that, you have another few days until the inspector goes out there, and then it's another few days until the inspector actually gives you the inspection back, the report back, and then it takes another few days to negotiate. So you want a minimum of 2 weeks. Honestly, I like to go out to 3 weeks, so I'm going to take it out to 3 weeks because you never get it back signed right away. And then as far as inspections, so if you don't know what your client wants, obviously if you waive everything, your offer is a much stronger offer. There's no contingencies. But typically I advise my buyers to do I typically advise them to do at least a building mechanical inspection. Termites, yes or no, is their call. So septic, typically where I'm at, there are no septic. It's really a city sewer. You definitely want a title search. Always check title search. You never waive the title search. Water, I typically waive. Radon, so some people like to do the radon, so I click that, and I just click yes for the rest. Again, it's up to your buyer. So this is where your buyer is going to have to initial. Okay, this is the seller's disclosure, and this is the lead pamphlet that you have to give your buyers. Over here is any conditions that you want to add. So sometimes you want to write that this sale is as is. So, right, many buyers like to see that. Many sellers like to see that because it makes the offer much stronger, and they're like, I don't want to do any work to this, I just want it to be as is. And then you could also attach a rider. So over here you see riders attached, so you could have a as is rider or whatever rider you have, an inspection rider. And then you see this pre-populates automatically. Once you put in that date over there, it puts in all the information for you, so you don't have to go and fill out every single thing. When you print the side, you have to fill it all out by hand. And look at that. Because I put myself on both sides, it fills it all in for me. That's amazing. I love it. Okay, and then let's say if I'm doing both sides, so checkbox only if agent is acting as a dual agent. So in this case, I'd be a dual agent. Check that down. And being that the seller is also John, we could put John in there. Okay. Now you hit sign. Hit yes. It takes you on to the next screen, and at this screen, so you have a few options. So you can have single sign in line. So that means that the first person that's in the order will sign. So what I like to do is, if I'm doing both sides, I like the buyer to sign first, and then that way it's an offer. And as soon as the buyer signs, the seller automatically gets an email. Hey, you have a document to sign. And once the seller signs, then the contract is executed. Or you can do sign, which means simultaneous. Whoever signs first, it works. Then you go to the participants. So over here, it's going to be the seller and the signer, the seller and the buyer. So you can do John Doe, which is the buyer, and then here's the seller. Let's add the seller as well, John Dane. Over here we don't have the email, so we have to, you see that means stop. Let's put an email for him, missing some information. So we're going to have to add an email. So let's add an email of, gmail.com. That's perfect. And we save that just like that. And now we have both emails in place, and then you hit design. Now you're ready to design it and put all the signatures where they need to be. So if you look, unbelievable, the MLS actually, InstaSign put it for you. They put the seller's initial and the buyer's initial in the right place. You see that? So I love that as well. Over here, the buyer has to initial these two. They put that in there as well. And here, every page has to be initialed by both. If you scroll down, it has to be signed by the buyer and by the seller. You just hit next. After you hit next, you send invitations. Boom, you hit OK. As soon as somebody signs, you get an email right to your inbox that says, hey, so-and-so has signed. And then you could take it, you could download it from the email, or you could log into the transaction desk. And guys, thank you for watching. That's it for now.